Hi everyone, it's Tim. A lot of you guys have been commenting, asking me, direct messaging me about the old Honda that I've got back here. You know, people are wondering, Tim, you know, you keep making Chevy videos. Why do you have an old Honda sitting around? So I thought I would do a little video on this old Honda. It's a 92 Civic Si. It's been fairly heavily modified to be an autocross and road course car. It used to serve as a high performance driver's education car for me. Maybe 10 years, 15 to 10 years ago, I was pretty active in that hobby. It's an amazing way to make money go away, by the way. If anyone has way too much money, doing high performance driving events is a great way to make it go away. Just in case you're wondering, both in tires and maintenance and parts and shocks and like all the stuff that comes with it. But anyway, here's the car. I'll probably maybe just push it out, do a quick wash. Hopefully I'll time-lapse that so you don't have to watch the whole thing. Then I'll do a walk around, maybe show you the interior, what's under the hood, what the cage looks like, what the seats look like, and so forth. If the battery isn't totally dead, maybe I'll start it up and we'll do a little bit of driving around. It's pretty raw. I don't know if anyone will be able to hear anything. It's pretty loud, noisy, rattly, etc. inside, but I'll give that a shot. And then kind of at the end, I'll give the more long-winded story behind this car, because it does actually have a pretty decent story. I know not everyone likes stories, but I kind of like telling them specifically because I love this car very much and it's done wonderfully for me. But I'll do that at the end. Anyway, here we go. All right, I'll start my little walk around here. It's actually amazing how fast you can wash a little bitty car like this. So yeah, it's a 92 Honda Civic Si. It looks relatively tame from the outside, which is kind of my goal. I don't like well, I don't mind stickers all over it. It's just not what I was looking for. I was looking for a very understated track car that could still turn very respectable lap times and sort of surprise the rest of the people that are at the track. You know, if I'm at a Porsche Club Day or a BMW Club Day, folks would typically be pretty amazed that they're getting passed by a Honda. But anyway, from the outside, this is what it looks like. I'll try and get you in there. It's pretty rough on the inside, or grassroots, or whatever you want to call it. So for those of you that have expressed that you're glad that this car isn't all riced out, you may change your mind once you see what's behind the doors and under this. But anyway, here we go. All right, so I've got everything open pretty much. I'll walk around and take you through. I'll start in the back. You'll notice the interior has been pretty much removed in the spirit of reducing weight. Instead, we put a roll cage in. I'm sure this roll cage weighs more than the interior did that used to live in here. But the idea was for the car to be as safe as possible, just given that some of the closing speeds and some of the track speeds and whatnot were getting pretty high as my driving was improving over the years. So for sure, safety was the number one concern in case I had like a series of mistakes that resulted in a violent off. But anyway, here's you'll see that it's kind of boxed in down here by the struts. The whole idea is to make the chassis really nice and stiff. Probably also can see I put this little battery back here. This guy's actually brand new. I just replaced it maybe 6 months ago. Yeah, so that's the back. There's still a whole bunch of room for another set of wheels and tires, for my jack, for my tools and everything. So it makes it really handy to just pack everything in there and drive to the track. Anyway, let's go to the driver's side. You'll notice that this door card looks pretty massacred. It's just to accommodate the cross bracing here on this roll cage. I'll try and show you the passenger side. That's kind of how it's cut out. That's what it looks like when the door is closed, so it's not quite as bad when the door is closed. Again, the front also is it's completely removed. Pour 15, the floor pan, a decent set of pedals in there. Yeah, all the gauges still work. Hopefully you guys can see this. I wish I had a better camera or a fancy gimbal or something like that to make this easier for you guys to see, but anyway, this is what's in the cockpit, so to speak. And then coming around to the front. Excuse me. So it does have a Honda motor in it. It's not a K-series motor, as is all the rage these days. It is what was sort of modern, well-sorted, and fast, 15, 20 years ago. And so this is a B18C. Let's see if I can get down here. Yeah, it's actually a B18C5. So it's one I think was in the Integra Type R. This thing was sent to, I think it was King Motorsport, if I remember correctly. We bored it out. We put steel sleeves in this motor, so it is actually a 2-liter B18. And otherwise it has all the supporting goodies that you would expect from a build from that era. So camshafts, and it's obviously not a stock bottom end. It has rods and pistons in it. The crank is stock. Fuel delivery system, has been upgraded. I think this intake might be like a stock Japanese Type R intake. And then, we just have a little tube coming up here. There's my catch can. The transmission's interesting. So it's a 5-speed transmission. We open it up and we change the gear ratios out a little bit to keep it nice and close ratio. I think we put a different 3rd and 4th gear in, and the rest were okay. But the car can go 135 miles an hour pretty easy, 140 miles an hour. I don't like going that fast in it, but it is possible. And then for all the technical twisty sections, it behaves pretty well. So I've got a full-size radiator, given that I like to have, 20, 25-minute sessions back in the day when I used to do this. And the car really never got hot. So this has been an awesome little investment. I'm glad it fits. Yeah, I'm sure I'm forgetting a whole bunch now. I'll maybe do some talking in the video later and tell the story of the car. It does still have 4-lug wheels. They are the, gosh, I think they're Integra or Prelude rotors or something like that. They're definitely a disc upgrade, and I had to buy new and different calipers for it. Right now it just has street pads on it. But I have a set of track pads. I think it's Hot Blues that I put in, or used to put in when I would go to the track. The back looks substantially smaller. This is just the disc brake upgrade from, I can't remember what it's from. I think it's also from either the GSR or the Integra Type R, to put discs on the back of this guy. Yeah, it doesn't have like an obnoxious cone muffler or anything like that. It actually even has a high flow cat in it still. Makes it sound not so awful. And yeah, that's it. Let me see if I can actually mount the camera inside the car, and then maybe we can go for just a little tiny ride. Pardon?
I just wanted to see the car.
Yeah. So it has, you know.
Yeah, I see that. Yeah.
It's not really comfortable to get in and out of, but.
Wow.
Yep.
And you said you've been having it for like 20 years?
More than 20 years, but it's been sitting in the garage for probably 10 years. And I
see that, the registration.
Yeah. And then earlier this year, I bought everything new. New fuel pump, new brakes, new everything, just to have a hobby.
Wow.
Thank you.
It's cool though.
Oh no. Here we are. Let's see. So 22 or so psi of oil pressure at idle. Yeah, upper 60s as soon as you lift the throttle. Almost 90 psi up at the upper end. The VTEC actually uses the oil pressure to engage up there as well. Looks like I've got 33 or so psi of fuel pressure. My oil temperature is somewhere between 165 and 180, depending on how hard I drive it. This blinking stuff means that my water temperature sensor is on the blink, literally. I need to buy a new one. It has an oil-to-water oil cooler, so clearly the oil and the water are going to be very roughly the same temperature. So right now, maybe 177 degrees Fahrenheit. So yeah, it's pretty raw, but it sure is fun, and it's light, and it uses almost no fuel. I mean, unless you're track driving it. Very light, very responsive. Like everything is fed back so well through the steering and the pedals, and just you can absolutely. It's like you're connected to the ground through the car somehow. I don't even know how to describe it. But anyway, yeah, that's it, my little track box. Maybe someday I'll pick up the hobby again, but for now the car just kind of sits in the garage. Maybe I'll sell it, I don't know. Anyway, thanks for watching. Alrighty, so that actually all worked out pretty well, and so now I'll get around to the little bit more long-winded part of the story on this car. So many years ago, like, I don't know, almost 20 years ago, I started attending autocrosses and then subsequently the HPDEs, high performance driving events, and I would use my street car for them. And in the beginning, obviously my driving skills weren't very high. and I wasn't going all that fast. But pretty soon my skills improved. I started using better tires, like R compound tires on my street car. And the actual closing speeds to other cars, the actual track speeds, whatnot, became relatively high. And, the impact of making even, a series of small mistakes would have been fairly significant. And so I decided that probably I should retire the street cars from, my only car that I had to get to work with and whatnot, from HPD duty. So my wife correctly pointed out that we really didn't have any money for a track car. And so what I ended up doing is I found a job that paid $10,000 a year more than what I was making at the time, and then immediately bought a $10,000 car for track service. Because for some reason that seemed to totally make sense to me back then. But anyway, that's how I came by the car. I bought it from someone who had already started building it in Wisconsin, I think, and had it shipped to Texas. It arrived. It was exactly as described. I was really tickled with it, and then started, improving it by, putting new shocks on, brakes, like all kinds of stuff, and really going to a lot of events. Very few autocrosses, much more HPDE events on road courses, so mostly around the Houston and greater area. So Texas World Speedway was one that I went to a lot. I think that has actually been demolished since. MSR Houston is another one. I think there's another one down by Hitchcock that the car has been to. It's been really a long time ago. But at some point, not having a whole lot of money and having a road course habit really didn't work out. Also, we had kids. They were little. I think at the time they were getting maybe 6, 7, 8 years old. Sometimes I would try and bring them along for a track weekend. It's pretty tough for, a 6-year-old to be excited about a track weekend, or even a whole day for a track weekend. So ultimately, I kind of just stopped. I put the car in the garage. It just sat there, and I just attended to things like my career and my kids and their sporting events and things like that, and the car just sat. And so maybe a year and a half ago, I started watching videos on not restoring old cars, but kind of rescuing cars from old junkyards or barns or whatever. And very specifically, it was Vice Grip Garage videos. And I would watch him, pull some old car out of a field or something. And I think he lived back in North Dakota or Minnesota or something like that back then. And I actually sort of admired the amount of energy that the guy had to work all day, right, to devote time to his family, and have the energy to go out and do car stuff. And, while all I was doing is sitting around on the couch watching videos all day, other than working and whatnot. But still, I felt kind of like I wanted to do that too. And so I don't have, a place to keep a bunch of cars. I don't have, I'd like to have a new car, every other week or something like that, but I just don't have that. But what I do have is I have my old track car. And so I became really motivated by Derek at Vice Grip Garage and others sort of like that actually found time after work and energy to put them into their cars, that I decided that I'm going to sort of rebuild my track car from the bottom up. And about a year and a half actually started. And so much of the, the heavy lifting had already been done, right? Like the motor was pretty much perfect. It was bored. The head was already, machined and ported, etc. All, everything was fine on the major mechanical stuff. But just from sitting around, things like brakes weren't working anymore. Like pretty much anything hydraulic had the seals kind of dried out, rotted, and leaking. I don't know. It needed a new fuel tank. It needed a new fuel pump. It needed new injectors. They had pretty much gummed up and frozen from having sat for 10 years with old gas in them. All of those things, like slave cylinders on the clutch, slave cylinders on all the disc brakes, calipers, discs, Master cylinder on the brake side, master cylinder on the clutch side, really all the things that you could imagine that would sort of fail or grow old and stale on a car that had been sitting for more than a decade had happened to this car. And so over probably a year, I would come in the afternoons or on the weekends, and I would have, you know, some amount of parts that I would get from O'Reilly's or AutoZone or whatever. They're really super cheap parts, right, for a 92 Civic, and put them on and took practically the entire thing apart. Didn't take the heads off or anything like that, but took a substantially large amount of the car apart, kind of refurbished it with new parts and seals and whatnot as necessary, and put them back together. And honestly, that gave me like a real feeling of accomplishment. I have kind of a desk job. It's a really cool job, but at the same time, I don't, at the end of the day, have something, you know, physically to look at that I did. And I think tinkering with a car and bringing it back to running condition and to, you know, potentially even autocross or track day condition gave me sort of a sense of satisfaction that I wasn't getting out of just sort of my day-to-day life. Plus, my kids are big by now and off in college and whatnot. Just there was a lot of, I had extra time and just wasn't doing good stuff with it. Not that fixing this old Honda is good stuff, but it's definitely better than just sitting around on the couch and watching videos. So anyway, that's the long-winded story of the car and how it sort of affected my life over the course of the last few years. I mean, it's not the car I would ideally want to have. You know, I wished I had 55 Chevys and, I don't know, fastback Mustangs and all that kind. I just don't have that. But this is what I do have, and so I worked on it. I tinkered with it. I improved it in a lot of ways. I replaced parts that needed replacing, and it's given me a genuine sense of satisfaction and happiness. So anyway, that's it. That's my 92 Civic Si. I love it to death. It's sitting here. I'm not sure what I'll do with it, but that's it. Thank you for watching.